welcome to this explainer. Today we're jumping right into part 8 of a 15-part tutorial series called Modern Telecommunications. This whole series is brought to you by Virtualization Options LLC, which is a fantastic Colorado-based technology research, education, and advisory organization. In this session, we're going to build a completely comprehensive map of how telecommunications evolved. We're talking the whole journey, starting from the earliest days of basic copper wires all the way up to the hyper-advanced, cloud-native, and AI-driven networks we rely on today. Here is our roadmap for today's journey. We'll be hitting 1. Foundations of connectivity, 2. The digital revolution, 3. From circuits to packets, 4. The VoIP disruption, 5. Telecom meets the cloud, and finally 6. 5G and autonomous networks. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, Foundations of Connectivity, the physical map. We absolutely have to start at the bottom physical layer, because honestly, no matter how incredibly advanced our software gets, those old-school analog signals still exist at the boundary of every single modern network today. It's where our digital systems have to interface with the messy, real world of sound and light. Now, check out this evolutionary arc. What's really striking here is that each generation didn't just give us a simple speed boost. No, they completely transformed the underlying network architecture. We go all the way from Morse's simple electrical pulses on copper wire to the digital PCM revolution of the 70s, right through the massive internet disruption of the 90s, and into the autonomous 5G networks of the 2020s. Grasping this progression is absolutely essential context if you're managing modern IT systems.
So you might be wondering, how exactly do we cross over from that analog world into the digital one? Well, engineers relied on the Nyquist-Shannon sampling theorem. Because normal human voice frequency peaks right around 3,400 Hz, engineers figured out they should sample it at 8,000 times per second. That keeps it safely above the required double threshold. When you quantize those samples at 8 bits each, boom, you've just created the classic 64 kilobit per second voice channel. That single, elegant math formula literally still underpins telephony worldwide today. Okay, so bandwidth is expensive, right? To share that valuable capacity, we use multiplexing. And the truly fascinating one here is statistical multiplexing. Unlike FDM or TDM, which kind of rigidly assign fixed frequency bands or time slots, statistical multiplexing allocates bandwidth totally on demand. It acts exactly like airline overbooking. Providers purposely sell more capacity than physically exists, just banking on the fact that not everyone is going to transmit at the exact same microsecond. It's kind of wild, but it is the core economic engine that makes the modern internet viable. Moving right along to Section 2, the digital revolution, perfect regeneration. Let's look at how the shift from analog to digital completely changed the physics and the economics of telecom networks forever.
A really crucial point to wrap our heads around is that digital didn't just mean computers talking to each other. It actually meant solving the noise problem. See, analog signals degrade continuously because every time an amplifier boosts the signal, it also amplifies all the accumulated static. But digital signals, they can be regenerated perfectly at each repeater across massive, sprawling distances. Why? Because the receiver only has to distinguish between a 1 and a 0. It was a total paradigm shift for long-haul networks. Now, to manage these increasingly complex digital systems without it turning into utter chaos, the industry standardized on the OSI reference model. While, sure, no real-world protocol stack matches this perfectly, it gives us IT professionals an indispensable shared vocabulary. When you're troubleshooting, you can systematically isolate problems, working your way from the Layer 1 physical cables and raw voltages up to Layer 2 switching, Layer 3 IP routing, and all the way up to Layer 4 transport protocols like TCP and UDP.
That brings us to Section 3, from circuits to packets, the Internet era. Now that we've laid the physical cables and established our digital logic, let's explore the explosive transition from voice-dominated circuits to data-dominated packets. When you put them side by side, the paradigm shift is instantly clear. The legacy public switch telephone network guaranteed this exclusive, dedicated end-to-end path. It gave great audio quality, sure, but it was profoundly wasteful. It literally consumed capacity even when both callers were sitting there completely silent. The Internet's packet switch model relies on shared pathways. It's highly efficient for bursty data, and it completely redefined how we engineer network capacity. Of course, as the Internet grew like wildfire, we quickly hit the limits of IPv4's address space. Network Address Translation, or NAT, kept IPv4 on life support by hiding thousands of private devices behind a single public IP.
But that kind of broke end-to-end transparency. With the explosion of IoT devices, we absolutely needed IPv6. It gives us a mind-boggling 340 undecillion addresses. Yes, that's a real number. Plus, it brings mandatory IPsec and plug-and-play auto-configuration to the table. For large enterprise networks trying to navigate this massive data era, MPLS was a total game changer. Instead of forcing every single router to do a heavy, complex IP table lookup, MPLS just assigns a short, fixed-linked label to a packet. This simple change allows carriers to engineer specific traffic paths, prioritize voice over data, and securely isolate customer VPNs at blistering hardware wire speeds. And it does it all without the heavy encryption overhead of IPsec.
Okay, let's pivot to Section 4, the VoIP disruption, separating control and media. This is where the rigid worlds of legacy telephone hardware and modern IP software violently, and I mean brilliantly, collided.
Voice over IP basically disrupted everything we knew. Historically, phone networks were built on very specialized proprietary hardware. VoIP changed the entire game by cleanly separating the call control signaling from the actual media handling. The IP PBX replaced all that dedicated hardware with pure software running on everyday commodity servers. Suddenly, your voice just became another application running over your standard internet data network.
And when mobile networks adopted this packet-based voice with VoLTE, let me tell you, roaming became a massive architectural headache. As you can see, local breakout offers great low latency, but it requires impossibly complex bilateral agreements and often breaks your home services. That's why the industry standardized on S8 home routing. Yes, it routes your traffic all the way back to your home country, which adds some latency, but it absolutely guarantees your supplementary services actually work seamlessly when you're traveling abroad. Up next is Section 5, Telecom meets the cloud. Software takes over. Let's look at how the traditional silos separating telecommunications and IT have completely dissolved as telecom infrastructure merges with hyperscale cloud providers. Network Function Virtualization, or NFV, is really at the heart of this shift. It completely decouples network functions from proprietary, highly expensive hardware appliances. Think about it. Telecom operators no longer have to buy massive, physical switching boxes. They simply run those exact same functions as software on standard, commodity x86 servers. This brilliantly trades massive upfront capital expenditure for highly flexible operational expenditure. And this shift pushes telecom squarely into the realm of cloud computing. Telecom engineers aren't just configuring routers anymore. They now have to orchestrate complex, multi-layered cloud-native infrastructure. We're moving rapidly from heavy virtual machines to lightweight containers that share the host's operating system kernel. That means they can boot up in mere milliseconds to instantly meet sudden massive spikes in network demand. Finally, we've arrived at Section 6, 5G and autonomous networks, the intelligent future. Let's take a look at the ultimate convergence of all these physical, digital, and cloud technologies. It's super critical to understand that 5G is not just about downloading movies faster on your phone. It is a fundamental, ground-up architectural reimagining. While early non-standalone 5G basically just piggybacked on existing 4G cores, true standalone 5G uses a fully cloud-native core. This enables network slicing, meaning we can create completely isolated end-to-end logical networks on shared physical infrastructure, guaranteeing perfect performance for hypercritical applications. But here is the catch. Human beings literally cannot manually manage a network that is sliced into thousands of microservices across edge clouds. That's exactly why intent-based networking relies on closed-loop automation, specifically the MAPE-K loop. The system continuously monitors telemetry, analyzes it against learned AI models, plans optimal changes, and executes reconfigurations automatically. AI steps in to handle routine millisecond by millisecond adjustments dynamically, with zero human intervention required. So what does this all mean for you, the IT professional? Well, the mandate from Virtualization Options is incredibly clear. Networks technologies now evolve far faster than foundational education can keep up with. You can't just memorize isolated protocols anymore. The highest value today belongs to professionals who think in systems, those who develop a deep cross-domain comprehension of how radio physics, distributed software, cloud architecture, and AI operations all interact holistically across the entire stack. It's a profound expansion of your technical scope, and it's fundamentally redefining your role in the industry. Which leaves us with a pretty massive question to end on. In a near future where AI autonomously heals, configures, and optimizes the network, are you going to be content to just sit back as a spectator, or will you step up, master this new system, and architect the next great revolution in modern telecommunications. Really think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.